One of the most popular articles on my website is whether or not you need a pen name or how to create or choose an author pen name and some other considerations to that effect. So in this video, I'm going to highlight a few of the new things that I learned from my own platform. I write both fiction and nonfiction, so I'm going to go through a few really important things about using pen names and whether or not it's right for you. So first of all, you're probably going to need a pen name, or the reason that people sometimes think they need a pen name is either they're uncomfortable sharing what they've written to the world, in which case I would caution you against it, or they write different things. So if you write different kinds of things, maybe you write erotica and nonfiction, you don't have the same audience, so the people who like one of your types of books aren't going to like your other types of books. And that's a problem, especially because, for example, in my case, I write fiction and nonfiction, and what will happen is if I only have one author account on Amazon, people will follow me on Amazon, and Amazon will send them an update when I launch a new book. But if I'm not separating between fiction and nonfiction, someone may follow me because they're interested in book marketing, and when I publish a new novel, Amazon will send them an email telling them, Derek Murphy launched a new novel, but it's not the right kind of book for them. Amazon usually sends out small sample emails, so they may send a sample email to 1,000 people and see what kind of engagement it gets. So if I have a really mixed audience and the engagement isn't good, Amazon is learning that people don't like my books. And you want to teach Amazon what type of people like your books by boosting your conversion. So that's one of the situations where having an author pen name or dividing into two platforms can be a really good idea. Generally, in the past, I've said I don't necessarily recommend using pen names because for book marketing, it's really important to be authentic and personable. It's much easier to build a relationship with readers if you can really show yourself, if you can show videos, if you can show your face, if you can be yourself and get them to respond to you as a person. So if you're hiding behind a pen name, it's not really you, and you kind of have to make a fake persona, that can be a challenge. So that's something I would caution against. However, like I said, if you're thinking about starting something new and you're not sure your current audience is going to like it, that may be a reason to start a pen name. So how do you choose a pen name? Something interesting I've seen, you can actually think of keywords that will work well for your genre. So for example, Bella Forrest sells millions of vampire books on Amazon. She's always, got 20 or 30 books in the top 100 on Amazon. So what is happening is a lot of people are creating pen names if they want to write urban fantasy or supernatural romance, and they choose an author name that has something to do with Bella Forrest. So maybe they choose like Becca Shade, for example, because Bella Forrest's series is a shade of vampires, I think, or something like that. But you could pick the top best-selling, best-ranking authors on Amazon. You could pick their best books or their best series. So you're choosing keywords that readers are using to find the best-selling books in your genre. So if you know those keywords, and you should be doing keyword research anyway, and you can use those keywords to compile an author name, which is going to hit maybe, some other author's first or last name mixed with some other keyword. If there's a way to do that for an author name, that will boost your visibility. And it may have psychological benefits, like readers may not actually figure out what you're doing. They probably won't recognize like, oh, that's a fake name using keywords. They'll just assume that's your real name, or it'll sound like a cool name that vaguely reminds them of the other books in the genre that they already like. So that can be a big win if you choose an author name like that. Personally, for my fiction, I chose I chose to use the initials, so I used D.S. Murphy, which is my middle name, my last name, my first name. Partly I did that because I write young adult fiction, and a lot of the other authors, they're generally tend to be female readers and female authors, so I thought maybe it would be, as a male author without an audience, maybe it would help me out. And I've actually had some reviews say stuff like, I love this book, and then I found out that the author was a guy, and I was so surprised because I didn't think a guy could write, a female protagonist as good as this. So that was probably a sign that things worked in my favor. On the other hand, the downside of using initials is it can be a little harder to search for. If people are typing in D.S. Murphy rather than Derek Murphy, it may be a little harder to find my author name. or a little harder to remember because they can't really sound out. So like when they think of DS, it's less personal because they're not thinking of like a name that they can identify my face with. So there could be some limiting effects for that. I know there are some huge authors who have chosen to use initials for different reasons, but I think in some cases it can be better just to use an actual first name. You want a name that is easy to pronounce, is easy to spell, because people need to recognize it. They need to be able to say it in their heads. They need to be able to remember it and search for it later. So those are some other factors. Next, on Author Central, I found out recently, and this is something I'm not doing well, I have an Author Central account and I just put all my books there, and I'm not really dividing between fiction and nonfiction, which is a problem. And I had thought that what I needed to do was create a separate Author Central account for my other pen name, and all I'm really going to do is divide between D.S. Murphy and Derek Murphy for fiction and nonfiction, and not have them show up in the same space. And right now, because I'm using Author Central for all of them, when people, for my books, my nonfiction stuff that uses Derek Murphy, if they click on the author name, it goes straight to my Amazon page, my author Amazon page, which is Derek Murphy. But for my fiction books, the author name is D.S. Murphy, and when they click there, it doesn't go to my author Amazon page. It just goes to, like, it searches Amazon for D.S. Murphy and it finds all my other books under the same headline. So I'm probably losing some conversion and follows on Amazon because of that. And also, if you look at your on your Amazon page, if it says like people who have bought books by this author have also bought books by these other authors, and mine are really mixed between fiction and nonfiction because I'm not being good about separating my platform. So that's something I'm going to fix soon. And the way to do that, I discovered with Amazon Central, Author Central, is that on one Amazon Author Central account, you can have up to 3 pen names. So when you publish a new book, or when you claim a new book on your Author Central account, it will give you the option of creating a pen name for the new book. And this is something I haven't done yet, so I don't have full experience of this. But it's only when you're publishing a new book. I haven't published a new book for many months, so this is something I'll do in the future. But when you publish a new book, you can add a pen name, and then that will be on your Author Central account. So you can have different pen names. Then you could go through and kind of revise. So you'd have to declaim books from one author pen name and add books to your other author pen name, but it's all under one Author Central account, which is really handy. I didn't know before that you could do that. So I plan to go through and do that soon. You can also email customer support, and I'm sure that they'll help you to sort that out. So another thing that's important, for a pen name, you may be thinking about building social media accounts, or especially Facebook accounts. You're not allowed on Facebook to have a fake profile, which just means you can't have a personal, normal Facebook profile for a fake person, for a pen name. A lot of people do it anyway, but it's against Facebook's rules. So if they find it, they may just delete your account for no reason. Because it's not for no reason. It's because that's against their rules. Because Facebook wants, personal accounts to be real people. If you want to build a page for your pen name, that's fine. It's not a personal account. It's a page. But the problem with making pages is that the organic reach is really low. So even if you get lots of followers on your author page, only 5% of your followers will ever see your content. So even if you get 1,000 subscribers, maybe 50 people will see when you post stuff. So it's not very effective for book marketing or even to reach your audience. I would much rather, and this is also why it'd be better to have a personal account where you talk about your author stuff and you promote your books and you try to get them to go to your email list, because that's really where you want to get people, is on your email list. What you can also do, and what I've done on Facebook, I believe, I'm not actually sure if this is true. I think I may have a page for a genre specific page for my fiction, which actually isn't the best thing. It's better because it's genre specific, so it's urban epics, which is basically just about young adult fantasy and sci-fi books for readers, which is easier to get engagement than an author page, especially when you're starting out. Later, when you have a big platform and you're selling lots of books, people may follow you because they like your books. But if you're just trying to get engagement and followers, it's easier to start with a subject that includes their interest rather than just something about yourself or your author profile. What works a lot better on Facebook is groups. So what I would have done if I go back and revise things, even though I have like 10,000 followers on my, I believe is my page. I thought it was a group, but I think recently I figured out it was actually a page, which was a mistake, because if it had been a group, groups get a lot more organic traffic. So I could have had a group for young adult readers, because you want to be starting discussion, you want to have more engagement, and that's something that you'll see. You'll reach more people with a group. So that's another consideration, even if it's like pen name, fan page, and or fan group, and it's a group rather than a page, you may see more engagement that way. And one final thing that's a little bit off topic, since we're talking about Facebook, I recently found out, or Facebook recently changed some of its terms. So in the past, a lot of authors have set up giveaways, or they've shared content and they've said, please like, share, or comment, or tag someone, because you'd get more engagement. Facebook is recently cracking down on those type of posts that ask for likes or comments or shares or tags, because Facebook just wants organic engagement from good content. So they want you to post good content that people like and share without you asking them to do it. So it's something to keep in mind. If you're posting stuff on Facebook, the terms have changed. So that used to work really well. Now it doesn't work as well anymore. Anyway, I hope this video helps a little bit if you're thinking about choosing an author name or a pen name, or why you shouldn't. Generally, like I said, I think it's better to use a real name so you can be authentic and be your own person. But I know people who have multiple author names, or they've combined forces to co-write projects and they've chosen author names for those projects. I know people with 5 or 10 different pen names for different things. Personally, I write young adult, and it's, even though it's not exactly a genre, it's one audience. So I know that my audience probably likes sci-fi and fantasy. Those are really big genres that includes almost everything else. So, dystopia or time travel or mermaid romance or whatever. I figure there's enough crossover. I don't have to create 2 separate platforms or pen names. The people who like my science fiction stuff might like my fantasy stuff as well. So I'm not distinguishing between platforms. But like I said, my nonfiction stuff is totally separate from my fiction stuff. So I really do need to separate those platforms, not into pen names, but even if I'm using my actual name for both platforms, I still need to separate them and separate the audiences so that, when someone likes me or follows me on Amazon, they're not following me. They're not following all of my stuff, because I write very different stuff. And it's important to separate your audience that way so that, they're only being showed the content they're actually interested in, which will boost conversion and click-through and sales through. And you want your pages on Amazon, on your website, to get more conversion. The more your Amazon keeps track of, I believe, how long people stay on your book's page and what kind of action they take. So their algorithm, their formula, is keeping track of how much traffic your page is getting, how long people are spending on the page, and how many of those people click to buy the book. That's telling Amazon, it's telling Amazon how well your book converts. And they want to promote products that get more conversion, because that's how they make their money. So you want to be sending traffic to Amazon as long as it's the right traffic and it converts pretty well. So you do need to be careful about not sending everybody and not putting your content in front of people who are obviously not going to like it, and getting a little more specific about targeting and separating your audiences. Thanks. Bye-bye.